So let's move on. What else would you see here? So you would see assets. Assets are like components that you've prepared. Assets are just items you've prepared that you would want to use for the applications. Anything that would help you speed up your workflow, make your work easier, faster, more productive, more good. So you consider those things asset most of the times. So you can even prepare your in-house assets, like the assets you have from your own application themselves. So if you create component also are considered assets, right? And then from assets you could install libraries. We're not going to talk about libraries now, maybe further on we'll talk about libraries. So libraries are prepared assets from like third parties that you just introduce to your design file that will make your work easy. There are a lot of free libraries out there, like this library you're seeing here. We could add it, and then if you add it, you'll see buttons, you'll see some elements that are already done in this library, right? So you don't need to start doing those things again. You see input. Let's say I want to use an input, right? You see an input. So this is some of the things you get on Figma. So I can just decide to insert this. Can you see how simple this is? Let's say I'm trying to design a form, and then I'll just put input. I don't have to like design this all by myself, even though I'll teach you guys how to design all of this. It's very, very simple, but you use assets and you use all of these guys to just make your work easier and faster. So these are assets and they are components that have a lot of stuff here done by professionals that you can just make life easy. So has label. I can say no, I don't want it to have a label. You see, I've hidden the label and then I have brought it back. So this is advanced though, but we'll deal with that later. So you see your file and then you see your asset, and right. So now let's move to layout, because the first thing you'd see, we've dealt with this, we've dealt with this, we've dealt with your project title, right? We've dealt with file, the items you see in file, you get your page, and then apart from your page you get layer. So what are layers? Layers are generic in most applications. It is just the way items are arranged, the level of hierarchy of elements, right? So if I have these two items, one is white and one is red. Now, based on our layer, this white box is under this. It's as simple as that. You can see it, that the red box is on top of this. Why? Because if they are separated and then you move the red box over to this, you will notice that the red box is over this. So looking at layer now, if you notice this red box is over this, and how do we know that? Even aside looking at the canvas area, how would you know that this red box, let's name it red box, and then let's name this white box. Now, how would you know that the red box is over this, even without looking at this? Okay, let's say they are isolated. According to hierarchy, this is on over this, and the way you know that is your layer, because layer shows you the level of hierarchy, arrangement, elements that are over each other, the ones that are at the top and then the ones that are at the bottom. So if you check your layout, the first one you see is red. It means this red is over this, right? And the white is under the red. So if we move this white, you notice that it is under the red box. So that is what layer does for you, just like other applications. It helps you define hierarchy, correct? So these are the things that you see on this left section under file, and then we'll talk a little about asset. If you go to asset, you will see the asset you have either on your application, on your project already, on your account. An asset comprises of so many things. They could be components, component cards, there could be many inputs, there could be icons, there could be a lot of things. It could be navigation tab and sections and so on, right? So these are assets. Assets just helps to make your work easier and faster. So you could bring in assets and add assets to your files, install libraries and so on, and then just drag and drop and use. So those are assets, just like this avatar now. If I want to use this, I'll just have to like drag and drop, and it's there for me to use. So you notice this is a component. It means probably the image inside can change. So image type, it's image. I can change it to initial, to change to the initial, right? The size is large, I can make it small. So all of these are variants to do, but then we'll see variants later on as we proceed. So we are looking at, so these are libraries, right? This is like the last item on the left panel. So I told us a little about libraries, that we could add libraries. Libraries are components that have been predefined and designed to make our work easy by individuals just like us, product designers, that will design a variety of button sections, cards, navigation bars, input field just like this and so on, and then they will save it up as a library. So you can just come here and then look for a library, search for a library, and then import it into your file, and then you just start using them, right? So as we proceed, we would see some practical examples of this. I'm taking this much time to go through all of this for us so that we really understand, and then we would digest it. So on the, you see, we've done maybe like 30 minutes plus for just this interface, and we are not even done with it. And on the right hand section also, you would see the right hand tab of Figma, right? So what you see here is this: you see your profile picture, multiplayer tool, right? So if you click, and these are collaboration tools. If you have somebody working with you on this file also, and then you have a lot of designs and you want that person to spot you, so you can just quickly come here and say spot me. You can huddle. This is, you can start a conversation. It says start a conversation, but it's also like huddling. If you click this, what it means is that it will notify the people on this file, and then they can accept that conversation, and you guys can literally speak. It will be like you are communicating, you're having a conversation. You can speak, and then they would hear you while you collaborate on the file. So we have this, all these items here to present is for prototyping. By the time we get to prototyping, you would see that. And then share. So you can also share your file. Let's say you are done with your design. Let's go to our mobile design screen. So I'm done with this design for my client, and I want to share it to him, or I want to invite a mobile developer that would work on this. So I can just come to this share button, I will click, and then it asks me to input email, comma separated. So it means if I want to invite multiple people, let's say I have two developers, so developer1 at gmail.com. So if I want to add another second developer, if I press comma, let me do it again, right? Developer1 at gmail.com. That's the developer's email. Of course, they will give you their email. So if you press comma, you hit comma, then you can add another developer. So developer2 at gmail.com. So once you put this, you can add multiple. You see, I add comma. You can keep on adding multiple. And then it will now ask you, what's the permission you want them to view? Can view means they can only view your file, your design rather. They can only view your design in your file, correct? So they can't edit it. So it means they won't mess up anything. They are just viewing. But if you want to give them permission to edit, let's say you are inviting another senior developer, or a designer like yourself, and you want that person to work on the file too, you guys are collaborating together, then you give them can edit access. So that's the permission you can give. Can edit means they can also have the power to come and scatter your design or to make it better, or whatever. So that's can edit. But if you say can view, it means they can only view. So most times as a product designer, if that fellow is not working on that file, you don't give them can edit access. They might mess up things. You be careful to make sure you give them can view access, like the stakeholders you'll be inviting to view, your project managers, and so on, even the developers. Give them can view so that they can just view it and see how the screen looks like, the layout, right? So you have under this design section now, you have pages. Not just that, if I click this screen now, you see a lot of things. So you see frame, it's telling you that this guy here is a frame. Now I can automatically change the type of frame. We have presets. These are presets for like different frame sizes. If you want to build an Android compact, if that's what you are looking for, if you want to design for an iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Pro, so this will just bring it for you. iPhone 16 Pro, you see the size is different from iPhone 16. You notice the size, this is a bit smaller. So that's what frames are. Frames are just screen sizes. So you have screen sizes for mobile. Let me delete this, guys. So you have screen sizes for here. Now they are not categorized, even though they are categorized by line. So these are mobile, these are tablets, and these are desktops. These are slides, these are Apple Watch, and so on. A4 paper, you are seeing A4, you are seeing Twitter posts, social media, and so on and so forth. But if you want to see the heading attached to it, right, if you click F or you come down here, we'll still deal with these guys. Let's go with the shortcut first, F, and then you see the screens are categorized, correct? So if you are designing for mobile, you click here and then pick a preset. Now this will not constrain you from you trying to customize your own screen, but those presets are just so that your work will be done easier. It makes no sense if they have presets for iPhone 16 and then you are trying to manually impute an iPhone 16 and say, oh, what's the size of this iPhone 16? Oh, sorry, what's the width and what's the height? It actually makes no sense. You are just taking much time and you are wasting your time, right? So these are frame sizes. That's what you see. This icon you're seeing here is dev mode. Mark as ready for development. So it means if I'm ready, let's say I have a couple of these designs. And I want the developer to only work on this. These ones are still not complete or they are not ready for development yet. Even though there are other ways and tags that will teach us further on, but I just want to tell us to know the use case of that. I want to mark this as ready for dev. It means it's ready for development. Developers can start working on it. So if you select the frame, you come and click it. You notice this green icon appears. It means if a developer sees it, he knows that this frame is ready for development. I can start working on this, but this one is not, right? So we can click and take out all. So this is to create component. By the time you start dealing with component, I'll tell us. So components are reusable elements. They are reusable elements. It's just like so let's say, let me just quickly demonstrate, even though we are going to deal with components later on. So let's say I have this. If I make this a component, see what will happen, right? This purple border comes over it when you go over that element. And then if you click by the left hand side, if you click this guy by the left hand side of this your layer, you see the icon for component. If you hover over it, the tooltip will come up and tell you it's a component. Now see what component does. If I copy this elsewhere, this is the master component and this is an instance of this component. So it means if I come here and change any feature of this master component, it will automatically update here. That's the essence of components. Because if I'm reusing, if this is a reusable element, that means I'm using this element everywhere in my screen. I need to make it a component so that when I change one, it will affect this. Now notice, let me change the text color. See what happens. So imagine I have 50 screens where I have this element. I don't need to and I just notice, oh, the client doesn't want the text color to be red. The text color should be white. I don't need to go to all of those screens. I will just go to the master component and change the text color to white, and it would affect all. I can also change the stroke to white and it will affect all. So that's what you do with that item that says component, and so on. I will just quickly run through. I keep saying this, that I don't want to take much time, but I'm careful because I'm dealing with beginners, right? So we have positioning on this side. Positioning means how you can just position items and align them within another item, right? So if you have an item like this, if I want it to be at the bottom, if I click this, watch what happens. You see it went down, right? If I click this vertical center, see it goes to the vertical and center. If I click this right align, it goes to the right. If I click left align, you see it goes to the left. If I click this top align top, it goes to the left top. So this is just for positioning and alignment purposes of your elements and an item or an element within another element. So that is what it does for you. So it's positioning. You see layout here. Right time you start doing auto layout to deal with this. Let me just skip that. So apart from layout, you see width and height. So you can manually adjust the width of this frame here. If you press down your left button and drag, you would increase the width, or you press the inner value here and type whatever you want, 500 pixels, you increase the width. Same thing happens here too. Watch the height. It increases, right? If you move to the left, it will reduce. You move to the right, it increases. And you can also press the inner value and put an automatic figure, right? And it goes. So that is what it does for you. You see appearance. I can select this guy here and decide to hide it, right? I've closed this eye icon. I've hidden it. And this is opacity. So I can reduce the opacity. Watch what happens, right? I'm reducing the opacity. If I put it 0, it's as the same as me hiding it, right? And then this is the corner radius. Watch this item now. You see how sharp it is because it has 0 corner radius. Now if I want to add corner radius, I can press and drag, and you see the number is increasing and that corner radius is increasing. I can click inside and put a fixed value of 8. So that is corner radius. And notice that it affects all of these guys. It affects all the corner, right? But if I want to target only one corner, what do? You click this individual corner icon here. When you click it, it's telling you all the corners are affected. They have 8. But I want only this top right to be 8 and this guys to be 0. So I'll come bottom right 0, bottom left 0, top left 0, enter. Now see what happens, right? Only this guy has a radius of 8, corner radius of 8. These guys are 0, and that's why those edges are sharp. So that's one thing you can do with this guide. It is radius. And then you have fill. Fill is if you have, let's say, if you have a shape and now we have a shape here, right? And then the shape only has a stroke, but then there is nothing inside. There is no color inside. Nothing fills inside here. So if I want something to fill it, if I want to add a fill, that's where you come here and then say fill. Then you see I have an automatic white fill. The default fill is white. So I can decide to say I want to change my fill color. I'll come and click this white here, and then custom means you would manually set it yourself, right? And then you might see some colors that exist within your canvas here, and then you pick anyone you want. Libraries mean, just like I told us about libraries, you can import library and use. There are libraries that comes with color set and style that you can import and use. So moving forward, you see fill. You can also hide a fill. So this element has a fill, but the fill is hidden. So I can unhide the fill. I can reduce the opacity of the fill also from this place. Reduce or increase the opacity. So if you understand all of these basics that we are going through now, this is what you will use to create the magic. Like, this is what you use to be creative and innovative and come out with a beautiful design. Just understand that. So now let's talk about strokes, right? If you click this, you notice you have stroke. Stroke is the borderline, let's say borderline, that you see on an element, the edge borderline. So this element now does not have a stroke, but if I select the element and click stroke, you notice it now has a borderline. It now has a stroke. In Figma, we call it stroke, not borderline. So it has a stroke. Now this stroke has its own settings. It has its color, and then it has its thickness, and then it has sides. So this is on all sides. We have 4 sides, right? Top, bottom, right, and left. And then color is black. I can decide to make the color red. Our stroke color is red. I can decide to increase the thickness. You see the thickness is 1 now, right? If I decide to increase, you see what happens to it. The thickness gets increased. If I decide to say I want only the stroke to be on the bottom, I don't want it on all sides, only bottom. So if I click the element, you come and click these individual strokes here. You click individual strokes, and then it tells you all. You see all is selected, but I say no, I want it to just be on the bottom, and then you click bottom. Now the stroke is only on the bottom. But what if you want it, these individual strokes give you option to select just either all or one of the sides. So you don't have an option to select both sides. But let's say you want both top and bottom. What you do is you come to costume here. If you click costume, you see all of the sides here. They all are for each. So you go to left and say I don't want it. You put 0 value. You go to the right. You see that the left is 0 now, it has gone. You go to the right and say put 0 value. And notice our stroke is only, let me take out this radius. We have the stroke only on the top and bottom. So that's the way to target 2 sides, right, on stroke. What if you want to change? You don't want the stroke to be a straight line. You want it to be a dash. You don't want it to be solid. You can come here under this stroke. You look for it. You see settings. There's advanced stroke settings here. You click, and then you see basic stroke, solid, and then you can make it dash. I don't want to touch other settings because it's a bit advanced for us now. So you can change it to dash, or you change it to solid. Let's leave it as solid. So moving forward quickly, so there's also effects. We have effect on this right tab. So what are effects? There are a couple, but we are just going to deal with maybe 1 or 2 now, because they're a bit advanced. I don't want us to start dealing with advanced stuff now. Maybe by the time we start doing a practical mobile app design, we'll pick a mobile app, maybe one of the mobile apps. I will access on our next, maybe I'll drop it on the group, and then we'll pick an existing mobile app that we want to replicate, just so that we do everything, and then we will deal with those other features of the effect. So what you have on the effect is, let's take out all of the stroke. So sorry, I didn't show us how to take a stroke, right? I click plus to add, just now, plus to add. I can increase the thickness, and I don't want it again. If you go the stroke, you can just click minus, remove, and then you remove. So let's add an effect. If you come here, click plus, you see there are different types of effects that you can add. There are inner shadow, means the shadow will be inside. You are adding an inner shadow. There's drop shadow, meaning left axis. Let me change the color of this so that we'll see it properly. Yes. So your drop shadow, this other modal will pop up for you to put the setting, so you can put the positioning to the left, to the x-axis. We need, it should go 19 pixels to the left axis, and then maybe 29 pixels to the y-axis. You see the effect we have now on this shadow, right? So what else can you do to this? If you click on this, now we have blur. It means you can blur this shadow. The blur is 4. You can decide to increase this. All this depends on the effect you are trying to achieve. But if you know these basics, right, you can be creative and achieve any effect. So let's say I blur it very well, like this, depending on any effect. But if there's no blur, you see the shadow is very sharp. It almost as if, it looks as if we have another rectangle behind, but it's a shadow. So you can blur it, and you have spread. Most times spread will not work if the element is not clipped. So our element is clipped, right? Did I talk about clip? Okay, so I didn't talk about clip, I jumped that. But let's finish shadows. So notice if this guy is not clipped, you won't be able to spread your shadow. You see, it's telling you only supported for frames or components when clip content is enabled. So sometimes you might want to spread your shadow and you notice you can't spread it. So just go and make sure your clip content is enabled, and then you will be able to spread the shadow. So what else can we do? You can change the color of the shadow. See, I've changed the color, I've made it red. You can make it blue. So you can give the shadow color, and then the opacity also, the transparency of that color. So all this can be controlled through here for the shadow setting. So that's one effect that you can do, right? You can do a shadow effect. What other effects can we do? So let's take out this effect. Let's go on effect again, and then so this a drop shadow, right? You can do an inner shadow. So it's the same thing, it's the same settings and procedure, but this time around is inside, it's happening inside this guy, right? So let's take it out. Effects. So what can we do? We can do layer blur, right? So what is layer blur? It means this component itself will be blurred. This layer, this frame itself will be blurred. That is what layer blur is. So I've applied layer blur to this frame, and it is 4. See what happens when I increase it. You see how it's blurring that element itself. So this is another effect that you can add depending on what you want to achieve, like I said. So you could add a layer blur. Most times you see this on some people's splash screen. They add a layer blur to it. Yeah, you see people add something like this. Maybe they come add a shape like this. Let's give it this, and then go to effects, add a layer blur. I don't know who does this, but yeah, you could anybody can do this. So you could duplicate this, give it another color, anything, I'm not even peculiar. I'm just trying to show you that people can be crazy, and depending on what you want to achieve. All right, so you can just be creative and say, oh, I want something like this, right? I want to achieve something like this. Let me remove auto layout, let it even overlap. Maybe I want to achieve something like this. Maybe I want to put a text that says welcome back. Maybe you are trying to be creative to design a welcome back screen, and you come up with your own design, right? It could be anything. Like I said, it could actually be anything. And then so this can even be like in a card. Alright, this can be like in a card. I give this, let's change this color to let's give this feel. Maybe you're trying to design enter your name. Don't mind me, guys, I'm trying to like quickly give you an example of that, and I'm doing extra, right? I'm doing extra, I know. So let's say you have something like this. And it's a login. Maybe it's a login screen. You have name, you have regular, password, enter your name, enter your password. So let me not overdo this, right? It could be whatever. Nothing too fancy. I'm just trying to give us an example. You have your forgot password or whatever, but now you just see what I did here with this. So you can just be crazy and do something nice, like something nice with that, and before you know, you've come out with a very nice design. Like, you see. So this is just like an example I'm trying to set for us and see what we have. This is actually nice, depending on the app you are trying to design. And so you see what you can achieve with layer blow. It will give you a nice effect, right? So what else can you do? What else can we see from? So let's even apply a shadow to this now. Let's apply a drop shadow. Let's give this maybe -2 to 4, 4, 4. Okay, or this -4, 4. Can we even see the shadow? Let me manually move this shadow and see. I'm moving it to the left. It's here, but we are not seeing it clearly, right? So let me increase this so that we can see 24, 12. So we can see that shadow here. Let me give this -12 or -8. Give this 8. I giving them equal sizes. I don't know. So this is just like a little effect. Now you notice what we did. We use layer blur here for these elements that are behind, and then we use shadow for this. So the shadow might be too harsh. You can even reduce the color, the opacity. No, sorry, not the opacity. We could reduce this blur. We could make it blur more. Increase the blur so that it fades. Let's use 12. Yeah, so it fades to the background. depending on what you want to achieve. Now this is just a rough example of what you can do, right? So what else do we have? What else do we have? We have effects, then we've treated effect. Now then we have selected colors. So when you select an element like this frame, you see all the colors that are within this frame. So you can manually control these colors here. So you see the color of these guys. We can actually come here and control the color. Wow. See what we have. Wow, this is nice. So you see, so you can decide to say, oh, I don't like that color here. I'm designing for maybe a lady's fashion, a hair plug application or so, and their brand color is pink. You can just come here and play with it. You can come here too and play with this other and make it all pink, or make this one red. Now this is looking nice, but this pink is harsh, so you can reduce the opacity. Yeah, you can reduce the opacity, and then you're having something like very nice. So let's move forward. What else can you see here? So you see selected colors, and then you see layer grid. We are going to deal with this one when we start going into like a deep dive practical designing a website or a mobile app. But then you can introduce layer grid to it. Grids are just guidelines, right? So if you click grids, you can decide to say I want column, right, for this my mobile app, and I want it to be 4, right, based on what you want to achieve. And I want the margin to be 4. I want the cutout to be 8 or 12 or 16. Yeah, so it just depends on what you want to do, whatever. So I'm not going to waste time on that. It's not looking like a design though. So but you can take that off, you can hide it, you can completely take it off. Let's completely take it off.